Tom Burke chairs the E3G climate change think tank. He's a former government advisor on environmental policy. As we get a bit more macro here. COP26 on the way. Are you looking forward to it, Tom? Good morning.
I'm looking forward to it. Yes, indeed. I'm both looking forward to getting a good result. I'm looking forward to it being over. It's been pretty much the centre of my life for the whole of this year, so I'll be glad when we're done.
Okay. Well, what would constitute a success for you out of COP26? Everything that COP1 to 25 didn't achieve?
Well, COP1 to 25 achieved an enormous amount, and I think we'll continue to make progress here. Will we make enough progress? No, I don't think we will. We won't make enough progress because the problem we've got is really serious, and frankly, our politicians are not taking it seriously enough.
Really?
Yeah.
It's all they're talking about. Environmental activism looks to be the #1 topic, really, politically, certainly, but also in schools, culturally, amongst the young. No one can really disagree. There doesn't seem to be too much debate. It's just a headlong run for everything that's green at the moment. I mean, I'm surprised to hear you say that, Tom. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Well, I was very specific. I said our politicians aren't taking it seriously enough. I didn't say the public isn't taking it seriously. I do think the public's taking it very seriously. I think all the experiences we've seen around the world in the last 2 years of fires and floods and droughts have validated the science in the public mind. I just don't think the politicians are stepping up to the plate. And you're absolutely right about the fact they're talking a lot about it. They certainly are. They're just not spending enough money and doing enough about it.
Geez, are we all going to have to get a lot poorer and change our lifestyles and alter our way of life in order to do this? And do we know how much extra tax we're going to have to pay in order to achieve what we need to?
The answer to your first question is no. Well, our life will have to change, definitely, but we aren't going to get a lot poorer. We will certainly get a lot poorer if we don't deal with the problem. And how much are we going to have to pay? I don't know. How long is a piece of string? We know what we've got to do, and we'll find out how much it costs by doing it. What we do know is the quicker we do it, the cheaper it will be. And you had a figure from your previous interviewee on the cost of a heat pump. The whole point of doing 600,000 a year, we'll discover, as we did with renewables, the more you do and the faster you do it, the lower the cost becomes.
Well, yeah, okay. We just can't do 600,000 a year. It's as simple as that. But that's,
no, it's not. You know, I don't think you're right about that.
You know,
I think we can do 600,000 a year if we organise ourselves properly. And it's quite right, the point you made in the introduction.
Yep.
You can't just think about the engineering. You've got to think about the skills, the installers. And what's more, before we did something where we encouraged everybody to get the certification and the training to be ready to do it, then we changed the policy. You can't do that if you keep chopping and changing policy.
Will China and India and other nations that may still be developing and increasing their industrialization, their wealth, they're still seeing growth, their standards of living are still rising, do they need and will they change the trajectory of their economies in order to address this properly?
They do need to do it. In India, for instance, it's now far cheaper in a country which is dispersed and with weak infrastructure like India, far cheaper to rely on renewables, solar and wind in particular, than it is to try and build centralized coal-fired power stations. But you've got the same problem. The fact that something can be done doesn't mean that politicians are up for doing it. Quite often because you have to deal with entrenched interests to do it. The same will be true in China.
Well, China are firing up the coal-fired power stations right now and opening more because they've found that they don't have enough power. In fact, they're enduring power cuts. Factories are closing down. People are going cold because they haven't got enough power elsewhere. What are they to do?
They're to do what we should have done before we got into a very similar kind of trouble because governments messed things up. We messed it up. We're not short of gas anywhere in the world. We messed up the way in which we organised our electricity and energy system. So we ended up with a crisis that we've got. It's a temporary crisis. Yeah. China has exactly the same problem of a temporary crisis because there's a government that makes mistakes and doesn't correct them very fast.
Tom, we're out of time for now. Thank you very much indeed for your contribution. Early doors here on LBC. He chairs the E3G climate change think tank. COP26 is on the way. Tom is a former government advisor on environmental policy.